So a little bit about myself. I'm Saumin Sinha. Uh, I recently graduated from Cochin University of Science and Technology with specialization in information technology. So I did my first internship from Indian Statistical Institute, which was mostly related to machine learning, and we have applied different machine learning algorithms and novel techniques for identifying the different player recognition in a frame. Another internship I did from IIIT Allahabad, it was mostly related to deep learning. We have applied different object detection models and different CNN for identifying and recognizing autism in very young kids. Another internship which I did, the last internship from NCR Corporation, it was mostly related to the field of software development and how to make decentralized applications most faster uh, uh, and more quicker. So that's about myself. So today I will be delivering mostly about CNN. So the very first thing before learning CNN, we should ask ourselves, why do we require to learn CNN at the first place? The rapid advancement in computer vision is the key enabler so that we can create new application that enables our image as a face, as a signature, such that we can apply different algorithms to unlock our phone. So this is one of the typical examples we can use. We daily used in our phone to unlock the face acts as a signature so that it can identify or it can authenticate that this is a legit person. Another application in the left hand side of the figure is the most critical application of self-driving car will be applying different techniques, such as firstly identifying the object localization, image segmentation. So this all techniques will be requiring, so we need to learn how and how effectively we can apply these techniques to advance our development in self-driving car. So it is a multi-level process. So there are different levels of automation here: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Level 4 is a god level automation, means we can automate everything. We can sit, we can relax, we can chill, we can sleep in the car. Right now in Tesla we are having level 3 automation. So what's the buzzword CNN? So most of the slides are taken from Stanford lectures because the slides are pretty good. I have modified according to our need and our use case. So what is CNN? So CNN are also called as ConNet, convolution neural networks. It is the main keyword is convolution. It is an operator. It's quite common operator. We will see in the later section of this presentation that how convolution operation can lead to a novel technique and we can apply in different neural networks. So let me read the textbook definition. The ConNets or convolution neural network is a class of feed forward artificial neural networks that apply visual imagery. So the first thing we should learn is this is a feed forward neural network, and that this is not a recurrent. There are different architecture. This is not a recurrent. There are different RNN, LSTM. These are called recurrent architecture because the major thing that goes is back propagation through time in the recurrent part, and here there is back propagation, but there is nothing called as back propagation through time. So this is the age-old definition of CNN, convolution operator. Sorry. So this is a classic integral. We all have learnt in our 11th to 12th standard or the basic linear algebra class in our engineering. So f dot g with the time of t, we can define it as a function of f and t minus tau with respect to d tau, and the limit range from minus infinity to plus infinity. So let me re-explain it. So if we are taking a snapshot, suppose I am drawing, if this is in plane, pardon me for my drawing, this is in plane. So we are taking a snapshot at t equals to 0. Another, we are taking snapshot of a plane as t equal to 5 seconds. These are all seconds. Okay, so we are taking different snapshots. Okay, so for each snapshot we are getting some data point value. So the most relevant value will be the dot product of this time intervals. If we are taking it a measurement at t equal to minus 5 second, okay, minus 5 second, okay, so this minus 5 minutes, sorry, so this is irrelevant because these are all in seconds. Okay, so we can identify, we can analyze the situation as the most relevant operations can help to identify the pattern. So bit about how visual signals are processed in the brain. So back in 1950s, Hubel and Wiesel tried to understand how our visual cortex works in the experiment with different electrodes. So they tried to put different electrodes in a cat brain, and there are different image patterns such as straight line, vertical lines, such as intersection lines, and they try to form how the cat brain thinks, because it is quite analogous to our brain. So they find a topological mapping in the cortex and nearby cell to identify the region in the visual field. So they found same kind of hierarchical organization in our brain also. So simple cell respond to so the low level characters, and there are complex cell which will help to identify the high level character. Okay, so this is the typical signal relay. This is quite common and the thing and to learn first, because how and why this architecture has been developed. So the first thing is starting from V1, as we can see, starting from the V1, the primary visual cortex, visual signals are transmitted upwards. As we can see, there is some topological mapping, or so there is some hierarchy associated with it. So V1 it doesn't directly jumps to V2 as in the case of artificial neural networks. So there are different and segment which can leads to MT, V3, VP, different visual processing units, and then it processes the actual images. So this is not related to wholly computer science. It is part of neuroscience and section of psychological sciences, how our brain works, but the core idea has been taken from here itself. Okay, so before going to the background of CNN, so we should learn or we should revise what is artificial neural networks are. So this is very common, weight into weight time bias. This is the bias variable, and weight into the function, which are all the functions in the layer 1, and so this is a matrix representation, wx plus b, all forms, and this is the activation after we apply so the key thing we should learn here is we are applying activation. So there are different types of activation such as tanh, sigmoid, ReLU. I will later explain what are the significance of ReLU in the CNN. So if we apply sigmoid, so it helps to inform, it helps to bring non-linearity into the signal, because this thing, as we can see, this is all a linear. This thing can be linear, because when we are multiplying all the input weights to the x1 matrix input weight to x2 matrix, so all the things will be a linear in nature. So we need to apply non-linearity to understand or to represent some more complex pattern, and so that's why we so why we can't use. So the first thing we should understand is why we can't use neural network for image, because the very first thing in neural networks is this is this is the first layer itself. Okay, so if each layer represent each pixel, I will go into it. So this is a generic image of Albert Einstein, great physicist. So we can see, so there are lots of pixel in the first row itself, and there are lots of pixel in the second row itself. Okay, so assume 1000 cross 1000, this is a not a very huge image. This is called as medium size image. So 1000 into cross 1000 so it's roughly raised to 10 to the power 6, 10 to the power 6 parameters, hidden parameters. And if the image is colored as well, if the image is colored as well, so there will be another 3 different types of channels in the, so we can say, so there will be a billion level parameters in the first layer itself. Okay, so if it has another 1000, if it has another 1000 connection, 10 to the power 3 into 10 to the power 10 to the power 6 into 10 to the power 3, if it has 1000 connections in the second layer itself, so it raised to the power 10 to the power 9. So billion connection. Okay, so it is very hard, and the spatial correlation is local. If we tilt the image, the spatial correlation should be maintained. Okay, so here is a 10 cross 10 and filter size, and there are 10 to the power 10 million parameters. Okay, if there is only single channel image, or that is not consisting of color image, this is 1 million parameter. If we only use the filter size as 10 and we increase the dimension, so there will be 10 to the 10 million parameters. Okay, so this is very tough for us to use, or to create a artificial neural network that has so many parameters in the first layer itself. There will be n layers, so it is very hard for now to train the image, to train that neural network. So key thing, we should reuse the kernel, because the image, if you tilt it in a specific direction, it should not lose the spatial feature, it should not use the spatial connection. If I tilt this Albert Einstein image to type this, or if I tilt this like this, our eyes can easily identify this image is of Albert Einstein. So but if we are tilting like this, the parameters are getting changed. So we should always use, or always reuse the same kernel, because the interesting features and edges can happen anywhere near the edges, because here there can be interesting part, here there might be cases. So this portion is only the interesting part. If you are tilting by 40-50 degree, so the interesting portion is shifting to another axis, so it is very hard to train like this. So building translational invariance in the spatial pooling, what does this line means? So I will explain what is pooling, what is max pooling, what is average pooling in the subsequent slides. The main feature is, the main thing we should consider is, if we are getting some information about the image in this segment, we should not lose it at any cost. We should keep a metric, or we should learn it at any cost, because we should learn the firstly we should learn the low level features, and what is learnt in the next level. So this is a classical image. This is a classical image analysis problem, or we can call it as image manipulation problem. So detection of the edge. So edge detection is necessary, so that we can identify the low level features before learning the high level images. So if we apply any filter, so this is our image, and we apply some filter f of x to the image. So there can be different filter, Kalman filter, Gaussian filter, and so it helps to identify these edges. If we apply it to the gx, so the function is, the filter is gx. So the main thing we are seeing it, we are identifying the low level, only the boundary of each of the images, or all the edges of the images. here we are not only getting the boundary but also the inside boundary. There are some patches, there are some segments, we can identify it here. Here we can't identify the sub segment of the images because we are taking the only the outermost boundary. Here we are taking the innermost boundary because in the tie you can see, so there is many zigzag patterns are available. Here our edge detector can identify it as well, okay, but this edge detector can't identify it, okay. So our edge detector can detect the vertical edges, it can detect the horizontal edges, and so it is a way so that we can learn the low level features first, okay. I will explain how CNN sees its image. So we are going into the CNN part. So we can so from the previous models or from the analysis of the brain, in what we learnt is it is always good to learn the small model first, because so take it from a human perspective is, if you are learning something very very trivial things we are learning, we should learn at the first thing, because if you want to multiply matrix, we should learn how we can and add two numbers first. That's the main thing we should observe here also. So we can't understand very big thing if your basics are weak. So here also the deep learning researchers have found out the same thing applies here. So we should learn the small model first, and from this the fully connected models, do we really need these edges, and can the parameters be shared? Because if we learned something, if it can't be passed to the next level, so it would be useless for us, okay. So this is a typical image of a bird. So can we represent the smaller region in fewer number of parameters? So can you devise something which can detect the beak, only the beak part of the image? So same pattern appears in the different places. So something we can compress it at and we can devise it something called a upper left beak detector. We can compress it in a beak middle detector. But the main problem here is, if the image get rotated, if the image gets something blurred, so it will be very hard for our parameters to learn the thing, okay. So the main juicy part starts from here, a convolution layer. A CNN is a neural network which has some convolution layers, okay. So convolution is an operation. Convolution layer has number of filters that do convolution operation in an image, okay. So this is our image and this is our filter and this is our output. So how we perform convolution operation? So suppose this is an 6x6 image. So these are two filters, okay. So considering this is in black and white image, it is not colored. I will deal into the colored section later. So these are the network parameters that need to be learned, and the edge detection. So we can easily identify this is 3x3 a filter that can detect the small patterns. If you can identify edges, we can identify the higher level features also. I will show you how and what CNN visualizes it, okay. So this is the filter one. We choose a subsection of the we choose a patch of the image, and we apply element wise multiplication and then add it, okay. Element wise dot product, okay. Element wise dot product. So we can see all the things will be 0 except the diagonal one, except the diagonal because everything is -1 multiplies 0. So we got the result is 3, and then we need to add it also, okay. So all the things get cancelled out, and the stride, I will explain what a stride is. Stride is how we are moving the image, okay. So if we are fixing if you are fixing the stride equal to 1, the next stride should start from this row, okay, from this row itself. If we are stride equals to 2, it should start from this row, okay, from this column, sorry, it should start from this column, okay. So after multiply, so we apply this filter also, and we can see only this segment of the image will retain value, or else everything will lose, because everything is in 0 in the image. So we got -1. So this is the filter 1, and if we perform stride equal to 2, we can see it is not jumping into this segment of the image. It is directly it is crossing 2 columns and getting it to the next segment. Okay, so this is 6 cross 6 image. So if you are having 6 cross 6 image, and what the output will be 6 minus the filter dimension plus 1. So the output dimension of the image will be 4. Okay, I will show you how. So all the diagonal elements are retaining. Okay, so we are moving the stride to the second segment. So in this segment we can see it should result in -1, it should result in -1, and this should result in +1. Okay, so the whole net result should be -1. Okay, so considering the stride should be 1. So there are different use case scenario when we should use stride equal to 1, so when we should use stride equal to 2. If the image is quite large, and so it is quite efficient to use stride equal to 2. If the image is quite small, we should use stride equal to 1, because the lots of information is getting lost. Okay, so after this the second operation, we are getting 3, and then moving it to the next segment, we are getting -3. After performing the whole operation, we should get this image. So as I told earlier, so this is the image segment. This is 4 cross 4. Okay, 4 4. Okay, because if the dimension of the image is f input dimension, pardon me for my drawing, because I am not having that sketch pad. Okay, I am using drawing using mouse, and if the filter size is filter size, okay, this is the input image plus 1, this should give us the output dimension. So 6 minus 3 plus 1. Okay, so it should give to 4. Okay, so we can see, so the main takeaway points is all the brighten up pixel are getting stored somewhere. Okay, okay, so this image is retained, this information is retained, this information is retained as the most vital pixel. So this is having the highest intensity in the image. Okay, so same we will perform in the filter 2. We will get another replica of it. Okay, so we are getting -1 -1 -1 and -1. Okay, so next we are getting -1, and after filling the whole images, so the basic thing we should learn is, if we are multiplying, if we are multiplying, we should add it at the last, because the dimension, for matching dimension, we should add the output result. Okay, so this is the output image is called as feature map, because it is getting mapped all the feature from the previous dimension after applying some convolution operations. Okay, so that the volume remains the same. If we are applying 2 filters, we will generate two features map. Okay, so for coming into the RGB channels, so as we know, the colored images has 3 channels RGB. Okay, and if we apply 2 different filter, and here you can see the dimension of filters are also changed. The dimension of filters are 3 cross 3 cross 3. Okay, earlier it was having 3 cross 3 cross 1, because this is the channel dimension. The last dimension is the channel dimension. Okay, so we are using 2 filters with channel dimension as 3, because our image is colored image. Okay, so this is roughly speaking how convolution works. After convolution, we can have fully connection, we can have max pooling, how we can have have average pooling, we can have different type of activations also. I will go each into it one by one. Okay, so this is our filter and we apply a convolution operation to it. Okay, so this is mapped to 3. Okay? And then if we try to connect using the fully connected layer, each of the value in this filter are processing and then going to this feature map and outputting a specific target value which represent all the information that is the most vital information in the at particular subsection of the image. So only connection to the only connection to 9 input is not connection to a fully connected. Okay, not so if we are using a whole dimension, if our image is having 6 cross 6 means 36 input parameters, so all the images that are all the input parameters that are being vital are being used here. Okay, so it has fewer number of parameters as compared to the fully connected layer. We earlier told, because it is very hard to train in a input layer with 10 to the power 9 parameters in the first layer itself, because if you are designing a deep artificial neural networks which having 50 layers, you can imagine how hard it is to train. Okay, so the thing we should learn at the first place, why convolution neural networks are very much efficient, because it is having the few number of parameter, it is having the few number of parameter and it shares weights. Okay, or I can say it shares the kernel. Okay, so here I have shown it. Okay, just a minute. Here I have shown it. Okay, so it reuses the same kernel. Okay, share the same parameter across the different location. Okay, so this is the main advantage of using CNN. So back to our slides. Okay. Okay, I think this one. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, so this is the top view of a CNN. So this is the feed for fully connected feed forward neural network. So if it is having some 50 layers, it is very hard to train. The very first thing we should learn, very hard to train. The weights are not being shared as proportionally as CNN, and we are having far fewer parameters in CNN as compared to the fully connected layer if we are using some images. Okay, so the main thing in convolution and is the first step I have explained what is convolution. The next step is max pooling thing, and we can repeat these two steps at n number of times. There are different architecture are proposed by using these two operations. We propose convolution pooling, and then there is upsampling of the images, and then there are downsampling of the images as well. So this is max pooling. Okay, so this is the filter number 1, and this is our the feature map. This is not our image, this is our feature map. Okay, okay, so this is our feature map. Okay, so our if we are having convolution operation, then max pooling, then convolution operation, max pooling, we can design different architecture. I will show what are the different architectures in CNN, and but the key thing here, we should further reduce the number of parameters, because anyway we will be putting in all these resources to some fully connected layers. some fully connected layers. There are architectures which does not employ fully connected layers as well, but we will not, we will restrict our session to only the fully connected layer to this session. Okay, so here in this segment, if the image can be divided into 4 subsection, okay, and then we can identify the max, which is the max value in this thing. We can easily tell this is the max value, and here we can, this is the max value, as all are negative value, this is the max value, as all are negative, this is the max value. Okay, so this is the feature map generated from the filter 2. So here we can see only the max value remains. Okay, only the max value remains, because so there are different types of pooling. First of all, pooling helps to further reduce or further downsamples the feature maps and help to get the most relevant feature after applying convolution layer. Okay, so there are different types of pooling, such as average pooling. Okay, average pooling. So there is another types of pooling called as min pooling. Okay, you got the point. Okay, so the first paper which was presented by the great Yann LeCun, which proposed average pooling. So in the average pooling, what we does is, so here this is the subsection of the feature map. We take 3 plus minus 1 plus minus 3 plus 1. Okay, so the value, it got cancelled by here, this and this got cancelled, so it should give us 0. So here it got cancelled by this, and this to result in -5. Okay, so we can take a average of this subsection and we will return it. Okay, so why pooling is required? As I earlier told, subsampling of the pixel will not change the object for sure, because if you are compressing something, it will just help to get the more or vital information. It will help to get the more important information from the image. It will not try to, it will only try to remove all the redundant information. We can subsample the pixel to make the image a smaller fewer number of parameters to characterize the image. Okay, if this is large image, if we subsample the image, as we know, the quality is being reduced, but it also removes all the redundant and pixels in it. So we can see only this segment of this image, only this segment of this image is the most vital segment of the image for the detection of the bird. If you want to detect the background, so this segment will be important as well. For detection of the bird, this segment is quite important to it. So we will remove all this parameters. We will not remove, we will try to subsample it. We will try to remove all the redundant layers. Okay, so CNN tries to compress a fully connection layers in 2 ways. Firstly, reducing number of the connection, as I earlier told, and sharing the weights on the edges. And max pooling further reduces the complexity by taking only the most vital information. It also throws the redundant information. Okay, so this is the first thing in our convolution neural networks, and in our convolution operation, sorry. And the next is max pooling. Okay, so we got a newer image but with smaller dimension. Okay, so we got, so after applying max pooling, we can easily assume the dimension and got reduced by half. Okay, so earlier we are getting 4x4 images in the feature map. After applying it, we are getting 2x2 images. Okay, so because as we know, we are taking only the most vital information, and each filter is a channel. Okay, so this is the whole architecture of CNN, the convolution operation, max pooling, and we can repeat it any number of times. And after getting this information, we can further reduce to the, this is the smaller than the original images for sure, because it is having 2x2 dimension. It was earlier having 6x6 dimension. Okay, so we reduced it 2 cross 2. Okay, so see how lowered we have how we have lowered the parameters in this segment. So the number of channels is the number of filters. Okay, okay, and then we can flatten it, and we can flatten it. This is the new image, this is the new image. After this is the conv operation 1, max pooling operation 1, this is conv operation 2, max pooling operation 2, this is the image 2, this is the image 1, and we can apply it n number of times, flattening. And after this we can flatten all the layers, and it will act like the last nth minus 1. This is called as the penultimate layer of any neural networks, or and we can so we can assign, after this we can help to identify the different object recognition model. Okay, so only modified in the neural network structure and input vector in the 3D keras. Okay, so I will go into the code. So this is the image, this is the dimension. Okay, this is the dimension. From here we can easily identify how many this is the image of MNST dataset, that is the typical object identifying all the different patterns of the image. Okay, so convolution 2D. So there are different types of convolution operators as well. There can be convolution 3D as well, and so the filters are 25 into 3 cross 3 filters are, so the input shape is 28 because this is an RGB, this is a this image does not consist of color, this is a black and white image. So it has 28 cross 28 pixels in this image, and the one for showing black and white. Okay, so simple, we can just add this line, model 2 dot add and model 2 dot add max pooling 2D. So this is the output layer of this image. Okay, so after applying in 28 cross 28 we can get 25 into 26 cross 26, and the next is after applying in the max pooling we will get 25 into 13 cross 13, and the next is after applying the convolution is 50 into 11 cross 11, and the next is 50 into 5 cross 5. So how many parameters are there in each filter? Okay, so the first thing is 9. Okay, so in this 25 into 9. Okay, so we can easily identify it. So this is the layer, and the initial parameters comes from here. Okay, so we will get 25 cross into 9. Okay, so this is the hierarchy, 1 cross 28 cross 28, 25 cross 26 into 26, 25 into 13 cross 13, and 50 into 11 cross 11, 50 cross 5 into 5. Okay, so and flatten, and then so we can easily identify that 50 into 25, that's to 1250. Okay, so and we can flatten it out. Okay, and so there are different types of activation called as softmax. There are activation called as ReLU as well. We generally tend to use ReLU. So ReLU can have a different session as well. Why ReLU is better than 10H? Why ReLU is better than and softmax? So it tries to help. It tries to converge the neural network faster. Firstly, it helps to train the neural networks faster as well as compared to 10H and softmax. Earlier in the seminal paper by Jan LeCun, if I remember it correctly, it used 10H, but after Microsoft did some research and found out why ReLU is better, and then there is something called as leaky ReLU as well. So there is bend. So there is bend in the curves. It is called as leaky ReLU. It is faster than ReLU as well. So I'll briefly go into how the convnets architectures are going some are going some changes, and how they evolved over time as well. Okay, so So the first convolution neural networks was proposed by Yann LeCun. So that's name is Lenet. Okay, so Lenet is quite simple. It has average pooling. As I earlier told, it used average pooling instead of max pooling, because Yann LeCun, the paper has been published in year 86. The but the main caveat for this paper is it got some recognition, but it was using some very small data set and only trained it in 60,000 example of MNIST digit recognition data set, and it uses sigmoid and tanh non-linearity. It does not use ReLU, so it reduces uh, the it increases the training process, because as I earlier told, ReLU is much faster than 10. So this is a 32 cross 32 image in MNIST data set. We apply some convolution, we got a feature map, 6 feature map at 28 cross 28. We applied average pooling, so we got 14 cross 14 because it just reduces the value by half, but the volume still remains the same at 6. We then apply feature maps at this is the convolution layer C3, 16 maps and 10 cross 10. Then we apply max pooling and average pooling 5, 16 cross 16, and then there is a fully connector. This is a Gaussian connection, and then there is output. So the images is typically from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 10 digits to recognize. So there is this is the output. Okay, so the main problem here was, firstly, we don't have we are not having that type of good computational resources at that in late 90s, in the early 90s, sorry, and we are not having large amount of data. With the advent of deep learning, what we are getting large amount of data. So this is the ImageNet challenge. It has 14 million labeled images. You can see the difference. It has only 60k trained image. And it has 14 million labeled images with 20k class. The earlier MNIST dataset has only 10 classes. It has 20k classes. The image were gathered from internet and human labeled, and further the ImageNet challenge has reduced because it's very hard to classify 20k classes. Yes, so it reduces the parameters to 1.2 million label images and 1,000 classes. It is very huge as compared to because the challenge has been launched in 2009, if I am not wrong. Okay, so this is the seminal paper produced by the father of deep learning, called by Jeff Hilton. And so the main thing is that the architecture looks quite anyone can overwhelmed by the architecture, because it uses 3 GPU, okay, for training, because earlier only 1.5 GB were available for virtual memory. So it employed 3 layer, and as I earlier told, it uses max pooling instead of ReLU. So this is the images at 224 or cross 224 cross 3, and the stride was taken as 4. See the image. If we are having some large images, we can easily take stride tree. In this we are taking only one stride. Okay, so we are having some 10x larger image, not 10x, something 8x larger image. We can have larger strides as well. Okay, so more data and bigger models led to this has 60 million parameters. You can imagine, and if after training this large network, if the first layer is having 1 billion parameters, it's very hard to train. Okay, and it has used dropouts and regularization. So in dropouts is a concept where we tend to switch off some of the input or some of the hidden parameters in a layer, in the layer. Okay, so for visualization, this is 8 layer convolution model. So there are 8 convolution layer, 224 cross 224 presented as the input, and there the and this is convolved with 96 different first layer red, and then the stride is 2 for the second layer. Okay, so so the filter size is 7 here, and the stride is taken 2. Okay, so if we try to, and the last two layers are fully connected, taking the feature or from the top convolution layer as the input vector, or from 6.6.256 into 2916 dimension. The final layer in the C way of softmax function, and the C being the number of the classes. Okay, so here we have used softmax as the final layer, or for if we have binary classification, what type of function we should use. So we should use a sigmoid function, because sigmoid is very good binary class classification, because it is having 10 it is having the more than 10 or more than 100 layers. We should use sigmoid. Okay, so the next come the VGGNet. VGGNet was researched by K. Simon and Gisselman. So it is very deep, because sequence of deeper neural networks trained progressively, and larger receptive area replaced by successive layers of 3 cross 3 convolution. Okay, with ReLU in between. Okay, so only the one 7 cross 7 conv layer with feature map required 49 C2 weights. Okay, and there are at 3 cross 3 convolution near only need 27 C2 weights. Okay, so this was an experimental model, and here we can see as the number of the all the parameters are getting larger and larger. Here we are having only 60 million parameters. Okay, here we are having some 133 million parameters. As we are training more deep and deep convolution neural networks, we are getting large number of parameters. Okay, so this is the ICLR paper in 2014 by IQ Chen and S. Yan and M. Lee. So this is the linear convolution operation. This is MLP convolution layer. So there can be different operation as well. So you can propose just a minute. You can propose different layers, such as encoder decoder model has been used also. We try to sample the layer. We try to sample the layers. Okay, and there this is called as downsampling layer, and here we start upsampling the layer. Okay, and here we start upsampling the input image. Okay, so as from the diagram here we can see it looks like U, so it is called as unit. It is proposed quite recently in 2019, I think so. 2019 or 2018. This is quite recent paper. Here we are simultaneously performing. Here we are performing downsampling first, and then we are using upsampling. Okay, and so the main in key takeaway is the AlphaGo, the which is designed by Google, which bet the best Go player in the world, uses neural networks. And it uses feed-forward, fully connected feed-forward neural networks can be used as 19 by 19 cross matrix is there. Okay, and there are two parameter means we can identify this AlphaGo board as an image with black as 1 and white as -1 and 0 as none, because so here after training and experimenting, CNN perform much better than fully connected layer. So this quote is from the Nature's article. So it uses 90 cross 19 into 19 image, considering the 48. This uses 48 plane feature planes. Okay, and then 0 padded with. So the padding is 0 for 23 cross images, and convolves K filter of kernel size of 3 cross 3 with stride 1, and the input image applies a rectifier that is called rectifier nonlinearity. It is called ReLU. Each of the subsequent hidden layer for 2 to 12 0 padding. Okay, here the main keyway, the match between AlphaGo used k equal to 192 filter and extended the dataset as shown in the figure. Okay, so CNN can not only be used in images, it can be also used in the speech recognition. As this is a time series data, the frequency is on the y-axis and time is on the x-axis. This is a spectrogram. We can apply a different methods to identify the filter move in the frequency direction, and we can help to identify all the variation in the image speech. We can identify, we can help to cut out the different and segment. We can help to organize the speech and help to generate the speech as well. Okay, CNN can be used in the text classification as well, because this is a embedded dimension, and if the first in the feature vector, such as called this is called a sequence matrix. I love my iPhone. Okay, so here can be applied different convolution feature map suppression and then pulled. Okay, so and here I will show you how convnets are visualized. Okay, convolution. Okay, so okay, so this is the one of the key one of the cool techniques which when I was learning CNN I got it. Okay, so if I am drawing 3, okay, so we can see, so we are applying a convolution operation. This is the first layer. Okay, we can modify if we want to see. Okay, just a minute, rotate it to our axis. Okay, this after so what does the convolution operator see in the second layer? Okay, what does the convolution neural network see in the third layer? Okay, so this is the very cool visualization. Anyone can try out itself. Rayson and has published in the GitHub also. So we can identify. We can also know how many layers are using or how. Okay, so the input dimension is 704 cross 704 and input fits it and calculation, or we can also, because it is quite good to how CNN sees in the first layer, how CNN sees in the second layer, how CNN sees. So the first guess is quite accurate because it is 3, and if I try to draw, okay, just a minute. Okay, so if I try to draw something like, even I can't tell what I have drawn. Okay, so I am thinking this should be 8. Okay, the first guess is it is giving us 3, and the next guess is 8. Okay, so try to make it little bit simpler, I can say. Okay, so if I'm okay, the first guess is 4, the second guess is, okay, so sorry, the first guess is 7 and the second guess is 4. So after seeing this, it is easy to fool CNN also. It's not there is one paper fooling CNN. It helps to fool the CNN by some adversarial attack. It's quite nice paper. If anyone wants to read it, can go to the second link. Okay, by the attack is called as pixel attack. It is one of the best type of attack that has been, because if we want to learn something, we should learn what are the use case scenarios as well. And okay, so it tries to fool the paper with Java Su and Danilo. If anyone wants to I can provide the link as well. So this is the second link as well. Okay, and there's some resources from where we can learn CNN is. So the first thing is CNN GitHub. Okay, so this is the best resource. This is the one of the best resource for learning the basic architecture, how, why, what is CNN, and how CNN and evolved over time. This is the best architecture, best. And another, if you want to learn from Indian channel, okay, so this is called as IITM. Okay, so this is one of the best also, by Professor Mitesh. I think so. This is one of the best resources available for CNN. And if you want to learn from more from coding point of view, so you can CNN. You can see how CNN are being encoded for PyTorch, because it is one of the most famous libraries. TensorFlow is quite trickier to learn as compared to PyTorch. PyTorch is much more easier, much more having much more features as compared to there is something called as graphs, so that helps to modify it at runtime, dynamic graph. Okay, that's it from myself. Thank you.